PGA players make huge announcement on rule changes before US Open. Something is breaking inside professional golf right now, and the timing could not be worse. 9 of the biggest names in the sport have just gone on record against the institution that pays them. Players who never speak out. Players who choose every word carefully. They have all said something out loud that the entire golf world is still trying to process. The most decorated voices in the locker room are now openly accusing the people running the game of dishonesty, selfishness, and decisions that could permanently damage their careers. And all of it is happening with the US Open just weeks away, on a course that has historically broken even the best players in the world. What did they actually say, and why is the revolt building right before the biggest week of the year? Stick around. This is the announcement that just lit the fuse. To understand the scale of what has happened over the last 6 months, you have to start with the man at the center of the chaos. Brian Rollback became the new CEO of the PGA Tour in 2026. He arrived from the NFL, a sport with a very different relationship between management and labor, and within weeks he had unveiled what he called the 6 themes of a new competitive model: larger and more consistent fields with cuts, a condensed season running from late January to early September, a new West Coast season opener, evaluation of large US markets, a promotion and regulation system, match play in the postseason. On paper it reads like modernization. In practice it sits on top of a series of more controversial decisions that were already in motion. And those decisions are what every player on the tour is now reacting to. The first decision was about the field. Starting in 2026, the PGA Tour began reducing field sizes at full-field single-course events from 156 players to 144. Smaller fall and winter events were cut from 132 to 120. Even more significantly, the number of fully exempt cards was reduced from 125 to 100. 25 spots that used to guarantee a player his livelihood now offer only conditional status. The tour's stated reason was pace of play. Tournaments in the shorter daylight months had been struggling to finish on time, with the 36-hole cut frequently slipping to Saturday morning. Fewer players, the tour argued, would solve the problem. The players did not buy it. The first one to speak was Lucas Glover, the 2009 US Open champion. A 6-time PGA Tour winner, a man who has spent more than 2 decades grinding through the middle of the rankings. He went on Golf Week and called the decision terrible. Hiding behind pace of play, I think challenges our intelligence. Then he said the line that spread across the entire golf world inside of 24 hours. They think we're stupid. Glover did not stop there. He estimated that the number of slow players had grown from a small handful when he came up to about 50 today, and that the real solution was enforcement, not eliminating jobs. He referred to what he called cool kid meetings, where a small group of stars were influencing decisions that affected hundreds of journeyman professionals. There's 200 guys that this is their life and their job, he said. Don't cut fields because it's a pace of play issue. Tell us to play faster, or just say you're trying to appease 6 guys and make them happy so they don't go somewhere else and play golf. Within hours of Glover's interview going public, Matt Fitzpatrick weighed in on social media. Fitzpatrick is the 2022 US Open champion. He is measured, professional, and almost never courts controversy. His response was 8 words, and it ended the debate about whether Glover was an outlier. He's so right. Pathetic that pace of play is about every year and nothing ever gets done. 2 major champions, 2 public statements, 1 identical message. The field size argument was no longer about whether one veteran was unhappy. It was about whether the entire structure of professional golf was being reshaped without the consent of the players whose lives depended on it. And before that conversation could even cool down, the next rule change arrived. This one came not from the PGA Tour, but from the USGA and the R&A, the 2 bodies that govern golf worldwide. They had been preparing it for years. The proposal was simple. Beginning in 2028, professional golfers would be required to use a golf ball that travels meaningfully shorter than the ball they currently use. USGA Chief Mike Wan estimated the loss at around 12 yards for the longest hitters. Independent testing by Bryson DeChambeau, who has hit the rolled back ball on his own YouTube channel, suggested the real number was closer to 15 to 20 yards. The reasoning was about course preservation. Modern players hit so far that classic courses were starting to look ordinary. The governing bodies believed the only fix was a ball that would re-stretch those courses without having to physically extend the holes. If you think the field size response was harsh, the ball rollback response was nuclear. Justin Thomas, 2-time major champion, did not even pretend to be diplomatic. The USGA over the years has made some pretty selfish decisions. I don't understand how it's growing the game. They're trying to create a solution for a problem that doesn't exist. It's so bad for the game of golf. Then he delivered the analogy that has been repeated in every conversation about this rule since. What? Are they just going to make the length of a mile longer so that the fastest mile time doesn't change? Are they going to put the NBA hoop at 13 feet because people can jump higher now? We're athletes now. We're training to hit the ball further and faster, and if you can do it, good for you. Bryson DeChambeau, who has built an entire career around hitting the ball as far as a human being can physically hit it, went further. It's the most atrocious thing that you could possibly do to the game of golf. It's the most unimaginative, uninspiring, game-cutting thing you could do. Everybody wants to see people hit it farther. That's part of the reason why a lot of people like what I do. Quick pause here because this is the moment where this entire story shifts. If you think the players are right to be this angry, drop a comment below right now. If you think the governing bodies have a point, say that too. I read every one of them. And if this is the kind of behind-the-scenes coverage you want more of, hit subscribe before this video ends, so you do not miss the next chapter, because this story is going to keep moving over the next 6 weeks. Now, here is where the divide gets interesting, because not every elite player is on the same side of this fight. Rory McIlroy, the reigning Masters champion and one of the longest hitters in the game, publicly supported the ball rollback. He posted on social media that he did not understand the anger, that the change would make no meaningful difference for the average golfer, and that it would put the sport back on a path of sustainability. McIlroy and Thomas, two players who came up together, two players who have spent years defending the PGA Tour together, found themselves on opposite sides of the most divisive rules debate of the modern era. And that is before you account for the next layer of the story, which is what happened at the most recent major. The 2026 PGA Championship at Aronimink Golf Club, just 2 weeks ago, was supposed to be a showcase for the PGA Tour's biggest names. Instead, it produced one of the most lopsided complaint sessions of any major in recent memory. McIlroy, despite his ball rollback stance, criticized the course setup directly. He said the best setup spread the field across the leaderboard, and that a bunched leaderboard was a sign of a setup that had not done its job. Scottie Scheffler, the world #1, went further. He called certain pin positions absurd, and described the setup as the most difficult he had seen in 7 years on tour. Justin Thomas said he had never seen a leaderboard so bunched in his entire career. 3 of the best players in the world, same tournament, same complaint. The course had taken away skill differentiation, and turned the event into a coin flip, and every single one of those players is about to walk onto something far more punishing. The 2026 US Open is at Shinnecock Hills Golf Club in Southampton, New York, June 18 to 21. If you know the history of that venue, you already know why the timing of this revolt is so dangerous. The last time the US Open visited Shinnecock, in 2018, Brooks Koepka won with a final score of 1 over par. The third round that year produced an average score above 75. Players walked off the course publicly describing it as broken and unfair. That was before any of the current rules anger had even started. Now those same players are heading back, and the body hosting them is the same USGA, whose ball rollback decision Justin Thomas called so bad for the game of golf. The same USGA the players have accused of making selfish decisions. The same USGA whose course setups have been ridiculed at Shinnecock before. The next 4 days of June are going to be one of the most psychologically loaded majors of the decade. Ricky Fowler captured the overall mood earlier this season. He questioned whether the direction the tour was moving actually reflected what the PGA Tour was supposed to represent. Fewer cards, fewer events, smaller fields, less opportunity. He was not speaking as an outsider. He was speaking as a former world top 5 player who has watched the structure of his sport change in ways that none of the players were asked about. And he is one of 9 major voices who have now publicly broken with the people running professional golf. Field size cuts affecting careers. A ball rollback affecting the product. Course setups that even the best players in the world are openly mocking. And the US Open sitting 3 weeks away on the most unforgiving course in American golf, hosted by the very body the players are at war with. The tour says it is modernizing. Some of the changes may even make sense on their own, but you cannot cut the cards, shrink the fields, roll back the ball, and reshape the calendar all at the same time, without the players who actually have to live with those changes, and expect the locker room to stay quiet. What you get instead is what we are watching unfold in real time. 9 names attached to an open revolt, a CEO under pressure to prove he is listening, and a US Open about to begin in a venue with a history of breaking the patience of every player who walks onto it. If you think the players have crossed a line, or if you think management has crossed a different one, drop your take in the comments. I read every single one. Hit the like button if this is the kind of long view coverage you want more of, and subscribe before you scroll away. There is a lot more of this coming as the US Open gets closer, and trust me, the loudest voices have not finished talking yet.